Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's podcast. This is the Arts Bonita podcast, and today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Richard Kirk. Richard, say hello.
Hello.
So we are going to dive into the work that Richard does, the classes that Richard teaches. We're going to learn a little bit about Richard's background. I'm curious to know myself because you and I have talked, obviously we've met, but I haven't learned a lot about what your background is. So that's kind of why I love doing this, is I myself want to learn, and I think people out there want to learn as well. So let me ask you, this is something I ask all the artists when I bring them on. I love to know, like, what was the first spark? What was the first thing that happened in your life that just made you interested or got you curious about art?
I think it's always been there. When I was really young, I was raised partially by my great-grandmother, and she was something of an artist, but we lived in Oklahoma sort of in a prairie sort of way. You know, she quilted and she did those artistic things that people did to survive. And I always was mesmerized by all that. So since I can remember, that's all I really wanted to do. And then I started drawing comic books when I was a young teen and wanted to be a comic book artist all the way through school till I got towards college. Then I wanted to be an illustrator, commercial illustrator. I met a man who was a commercial illustrator, very good painter. And so I did that. I went to art school and became a commercial artist for 13 years. And then my wife, I was married to then, we had to leave New England, move down here, and been here ever since. So 1999 is when we moved down here.
Wow. So storyboard. So I mean,
yeah, I did storyboards.
You did storyboards too? Okay, because I always think of, whenever I think of comics, I always think of storyboards, because being in the film industry, it was like that's what we were always looking at. And some of the best storyboard artists are people who do, comic book, just because they know how to capture the core of what's happening. What were some of your favorite comics when you were growing up?
Oh, I still have them.
You do?
I know, it's sort of frightening. I still have, when I was really young, it was all the DC group, the Superman, Superboy, those things. Then when I got older, it was all the Marvel guys with Spider-Man and that character group.
Yeah.
I still have many, many, many of them, like 3,000 or 4,000 of them.
That's cool. It's interesting when you think about back in the day, as we always say, and you said quilting and doing things with their hand. You think of like woodwork and things like that. It seemed like back before, I don't know, the digital age or whatever, people had to have a certain degree of artistry that they had in them to be able to just do things or to live or to make things at home.
Right.
And
I think that's true.
Yeah, and it's so different today. I mean, sure, there are some similarities and there are some things, but it really is interesting to think back to a day when you kind of had to work on a skill. You had to work on something for survival in a sense, or just to have a home life. You had to work on it, practice.
Yeah, I don't remember too much of those years, awfully young, but I do remember the room with the big quilts, and they would, be as a group. Half a dozen ladies in the area where she lived sit and talk and do that all day long and build quilts. I still have one of those too. My mom's a hoarder, and I probably inherited a little of that. So
yeah, that's cool. So talk to me a little bit about, so at Arts Bonita, you've been teaching here for a while, and you have, I've gone into your classes. I think you have very loyal people who take classes with you, and they take them with you every single time. And I see a lot of repeat people in your classes. What do you think, how would you describe to people what the vibe is like in your classroom with your students?
I think there's two distinct types of classes that I teach. One is the introductory classes, where I'm lecturing a lot more, talking to the students and giving them information, trying to get them past the first beginning steps. And then I have my advanced classes, where, like you say, I've seen those students many times, a lot of times. I've known them for years. and they just want to move a little further along. They're taking, their steps are much smaller because they've learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just want a place to work and direction when I get around to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the two different types of classes that I teach. The instructional one is I have my books. I have built a couple of books for it, for my beginning fundamentals class and the color class. And that way people can, you learn so many different ways. And some people will hear it and retain it. Some people need to go home and read it again, and then come back the next week with more questions. So I try to give them every way I can to learn. And it's like you say, it's worked well for me. I have many long-time students, and but I thoroughly enjoy it as well. So
Yeah. Wow. Let's look at some of the stuff that you provided for me. Can you talk through some of these up here that you
Sure.
see? Move your mic just a little bit this way, like turn it that way so it's pointing toward your mouth.
Oh, if I lean
Yeah,
forward?
just like that.
Okay,
Perfect.
is that still
Yeah.
good?
So what is this one? Is this from a class?
Yeah, so I combined my portraits from photography class into a portraits from photography class / advanced painting class. Like you said, I have many students that repeat, and they kind of want to not always do portraits. So I let them do what they want to paint. They don't have to do a portrait in that class
Yeah.
if they don't want.
Yeah.
So this is from the advanced portrait class, same thing, same student in both of those. That's her right there.
So they just take a photo
Uh-huh.
and then they work on what's like your first step when you're taking a photo like that and you want to do a painting like that. What's the first step that you do once you've selected your photo?
Well, so I get students who have done many classes, and so they might come to me with a technique they already like.
Mm-hmm.
And if they like that, I go with it. If a student doesn't have any technique and is just starting to figure it out,
Yeah.
I usually have them work from grids. I have
Okay.
a specific grid that I use just on the face, and then I show them how to put on the canvas at the same angle and work from it, and then they can get a very nice product.
Wow.
So-
I mean, those look incredible though. And I'm looking at those things and I'm like, these are great. And people take these photos in. There was one I was looking at earlier and there was a woman who was working on a picture. I think she was drawing or she was painting a picture of her husband. Mm-hmm. I thought that maybe it was, this is definitely what our classrooms, look like. This is where, this is in one of our spaces where you teach regularly.
Right.
Oh, look at that one's cute with a dog. Yeah, it's great to walk in there and just to see the progress. So when someone's working on a painting like this one right here that we see, I was just, how long does it take someone to finish a painting like that? Do they do that during the class or do they do it over multiple classes or sessions?
Oh, heck. Yeah, they'll do it over many classes, maybe over a series of sessions.
Okay.
They may work on something for a couple of months.
Wow.
It depends. That's the one you were just looking at.
Yeah.
With she worked a lot on her own. I haven't seen her in a couple of years. I
Okay.
think she moved back north
Okay.
to be with her family. But she worked a lot on her own, came in, just got a little bit of direction, didn't have to talk, didn't always stay through the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
Would go back and work and come in the next week and talk some more. I think we probably worked together for 8 or 9 years. So.
Wow. Is that a regular thing? Do people work on it in class and then continue work in between the class and then show up and...
Not everybody can.
Okay.
Some people's home life won't let them.
Yeah.
So they need that time to just concentrate on their work and get away from everything else
Yeah.
and work on that. But other people, it's been their life's goal to do it too. So when the second they get home, they sit back down and start again.
Wow.
So everybody's a little different.
That's cool. Let's see. This is the one I was like, oh, like, I wonder if my wife would ever sit and paint a picture of me one day. Danielle, if you're out there, you should get started.
We with that picture, from that last image of the gentleman. So what's starting to change now, and the reason I included that picture is a lot more people are coming in with their tablets and working from that rather than photographs.
Interesting.
That started to change in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years as more and more and more people are working from tablets.
Mm-hmm.
And So, getting that technique to the tablet rather than a printed photograph takes a little doing, but it can be done. So,
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting. It's a totally different, brightness. You can photograph, you're not changing anything. It is what it is. On there, you can make it brighter. You can, change some things
and
about the
zoom
color.
way in.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to figure out what's in a corner of the eye and you can't see it well, and all of a sudden you can see in there really well.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
paint some detail in there that you want.
Yeah.
The problem with it for myself is if I'm trying to match a color and I have it in my hand and I can aim it at that screen, but it's going to look different whether I have the light on it from the side, like that light, or the light on it from the front. My color has just changed on this card, right, that I've just painted, but it's not changing in that photograph. If I have, on that monitor.
Yeah.
But if I have a photograph, I can change them together. But then, the other thought I have is I'm not sure it has to be perfect. It just has to be, reasonable and good,
Yeah.
So I'm not a copying machine exactly. I'm more of an interpreting machine, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I kind of want a little artistic flair to it, not necessarily have the color absolutely perfect every time. So,
What level should someone be at if they're coming into your class? Like, I understand you've got a beginning, but even with beginning, are you talking beginning?
absolute beginning.
Okay.
And what I have some students that step back after they painted with me a while and take the beginning classes again, because mostly I'm concerned with their health. I don't want them doing something that makes them sick, because we are mixing with thinners and solvents, and if you're acrylics, you still can't eat those things. You're using your solvents, water, but they need to be aware of things that can hurt them. So we talk through those things. The basics of figuring this stuff out. What makes something look like it has volume? What are the clues on it? When I look at it, that makes it seem to come out of the canvas slightly or go into the canvas slightly. What is that? What are those clues? So I put that all together, and I don't know how to draw a line. So the very beginning classes are right at the very beginning. I don't assume that anybody has 2 years of background anywhere. They just come in, and we start to go. And I think what helps them is that it's an organized beginning, rather than if I tried to learn this on the internet or if I was trying to get it out of books. That you can learn something one day, and it doesn't relate to what's coming up the next day, and what's going to come up 2 weeks from now. So this organizes their steps in both those beginning classes, and then I don't live in an environment where I can have prerequisites. So sometimes I get beginners in my portrait classes. People who have never done that, and after they paint with me a little while, they see the advantage of going back and getting that. That's what happens. Sometimes they'll jump back and then take those beginning classes so that they can move faster.
Yeah.
But, it's all, I don't have a way to say, well, you're not up with the class. And I wouldn't do that to begin with. I just try to help them move where they can move. And we're all there for pleasure. It's a different thing than teaching at the university, where kids are basically in there for the credits. If I said, "Oh, you guys can just go home," they would. But the people where I teach now, if I said they could go home, they'd be upset with me.
You're like, why do I have to leave?
I say, I paid you. Get over here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'll say this. For those of you out there who maybe haven't worked with Richard before, he's very good about working with the different levels. Because I've had people ask me questions, feel intimidated, I don't want to be in a class with people who have all this experience, because I'm like telling you guys, like, Richard's so good at just working with people of all different levels. I've seen him work in advanced classes and accept a student sometimes who is very new to it, and still have that be a quality class for everybody involved.
and I would say the students too. My students they're very helpful with other students, and they'll ask me to talk about something. If they see somebody struggling, they say, could you talk about, picking blues? What kind of blues should that person use? Just to help another student. I've seen it many, many times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's something that if you guys haven't experienced out there, just all of the classes at Arts Bonita are this way. This is like, I hear the same things from students in all the classes. the quality of the instructors that we have here, again, if you haven't been exposed to it, or if you have, just super high quality instructors in the visual arts program, like across the board. So Richard is obviously no different. And I wanted to look at some of the courses specifically. If we can go to that other screen, I'm going to see if I can. There we go. I'm going to come over here to our website because it's people should know, like, how do you go about getting, you want to sign up for his class. There's a few different ways to do it. You can obviously call the center. Okay, you can call Arts Bonita and they'll help you register. You could go to the center and just walk up to the front desk. They will help you register. The other way to do it is here. And if you go here and you go to education and then you go to adult education, there will be a bunch of, disciplines, categories down here. So for Richard, you'd want to go to acrylic and oil. And when you click here, you will see all of the different classes that we have to offer at Arts Bonita in acrylic and oil. But if you're looking for a specific instructor, okay, we have this cool advanced filter right here. So if I click the advanced filter and I scroll down, I can go to Richard. If I can see from all the way over here, I'm looking all the way across the room because this monitor's up on the big screen. I can go right here to Richard and click the box, and then I'll only see Richard's stuff. So you've got the beginning painting that we talked about, the color class, and you've talked a little bit about that. We have the advanced one. Can you talk a little bit about mastering Monet?
Yes. For a few years, I'm still actually studying Monet's work and how he put things together. And I've modified it with modern materials to get things a little quicker down the road. But I teach what I think he was trying to achieve with his paints, more so than just his technique. But that's involved too. But what he was trying to acquire, they were all doing something. All the Impressionists were doing something. You look at Seurat, and he did the pointillism. And he was doing something very similar. Monet was doing something similar to Seurat. And so, but he just had a different way of doing it, a different way of laying on that paint so that you could see other colors around that color. So they had new information, and they had new tools. They had flat brushes. They had tubed paint, which, prior to that, there wasn't that ability to have that. So they had these new tools, and new information, and they were putting it together, each in their own way. And so I teach how he set things up a little bit and his techniques. And but I have many students who paint in acrylic. He never painted in acrylic. No such thing existed when he was alive. So, but acrylics work just fine in that medium. And so we put down textures. We learn how to paint so that you still see other colors under colors and through colors. And so that's primarily what that class is about. We do copy a couple of Monets. I like it if they do that, because then you're kind of paying attention to what he's doing. But then some of those images that I sent you are other students' own work, that they just use that technique with their own reference.
Yeah, let me go to some of those, because I want to see right here. Let's see. Okay. Probably some coming up.
That's advanced. Those are advanced.
These are advanced ones. Oh, maybe I don't. Maybe I just have these.
Oh, I sent you.
Maybe might not have for some reason loaded into this folder. I don't know, but but yeah, I think what I like is there's just a variety of things that people can do. Do you have do you have students who kind of take all of your classes, or do you have different, what do you see in your Monet? Do you see repeat students, or is that more like a one-off kind of a thing?
Students will, since I started offering it, my advanced students will jump over there and then come back. They end up with a time slot that they like, but they'll jump over for a couple of sessions to kind of learn different techniques all at once, and then they'll come back. Linda, I have one of my students there, not Linda, but she, went and did several Monet classes just to bring that technique back into her regular work, kind of figure out a different way of seeing things. So that's what.
Yeah, I got some here. I'm going to move them over. Let me see.
Yeah,
Okay.
Linda.
So, yeah, these are some of the ones from the Monet class. These are the students.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are all student work.
Yeah.
So they, like I said, so we're copying some Monets, just so that you can see how he's putting it down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to Chicago over the summer, and we went to the museum there. I'm pretty sure there's Monets there. That's
Many.
yeah.
Been there myself.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm curious. You obviously you do your own art and you teach and things like that. What do you do like when you have your own time to do whatever you want to do? What are you doing with your time?
Well, my latest set of paintings is pop art. I'm doing a pop art series.
Okay.
So I've done abstract painting in my life just to kind of see if I could figure that out and do that. But I was an illustrator, and I liked the illusion of realism in my work. I don't necessarily want to be a photorealist. I don't make my painting look like a photo surface. I always have brush strokes, and if you're looking closely, you can see brush strokes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I like that painterly look. So I've been recently doing paintings that I call pop art. I call myself a post-pop painter, so that I can use as many pieces as I can.
Okay.
And and I'm sticking with my parameters that I've established for myself is I only paint things with pop in the title. So I have popsicles, pop tarts, pop Tootsie Roll pops, pop lollipops. Those things, I'm painting all those things, and in a very realistic, almost photorealistic look, but a little bit off of that, not quite photorealism. That's been my style here for a little while. Kind of I'm trying to keep it light, silly. All the names are kind of fun, kind of silly. Just sort of matches my personality a little.
That's cool. What non-artistic things do you do that are for fun or just for relaxation? Any activities?
My first adventure out of high school was I was a photographer in the U.S. Navy.
Okay.
Done all this stuff. So, but with film, we didn't have. Although I have some stuff on YouTube that I filmed with my Canons. But so I do photography for myself, but that's usually with an eye towards painting too. And my wife loves to travel, so we do a good bit of that.
Okay.
We've been all over the last few years. A couple of times this summer we've been away, so we do quite a bit of that. And that keeps us busy. And grandchildren, we have the grandbabies coming along. So yeah.
Are they local?
Yes.
They are? You're like, yes. There was like, yes, they are.
Really close.
Are you
Great.
regularly, requested to look after them or?
Thankfully we are.
Thankfully we are, yes.
Love it.
That's great. Well, I mean, I think that it's been great to have you here, for you to come and to talk about this stuff. To everybody out there, again, these classes, they fill up, they sell out. And it's not that they sell out the week of or the week before. They sell out months in advance. If you look at Kirk's classes, they are definitely filling up. So if you have an interest, you should definitely go and get signed up right now, because if you wait, it will probably be too late. That's just the nature of things. The Visual Arts Center, the classes, they're very, very popular, and people sign up for them 6 months, 3 months. They sign up in advance. So you definitely are going to want to get out there and do that. Again, go to artsbonita.org and sign up, or call the front desk, or stop in. I want to remind everybody that we always have open galleries at the Performing Arts Center and the Visual Arts Center. So these are galleries that you can come by and just hang out and look at the art and look at what's been submitted, and they're usually switched out every 6 weeks. So it's always open, so you should come by and check it out. And again, I'm just going to say thank you, Richard, for joining us today. Thank you. I am going to encourage all of you again to go look at the website, look at Richard's classes, and get signed up. One of the biggest things and one of the big reasons why we do this podcast is to encourage people to find that artistic piece of their life, because if you don't have it in your life, then you're missing out. And so I just strongly encourage you all to find the artistic you in the time that you have in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. Find it. And people are always like, oh, I've been wanting to do it. It's like, if you've been wanting to do it and you live here in Southwest Florida, you should not wait any longer. Just go sign up and get involved. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. And I can't wait to talk to you after you've done it, because you'll tell me the same thing when it's done. So that's all I'll say about that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Arts Bonita podcast, and we will talk to you next time.